Last Beats back for another video. Yo, what's up, YouTube? So, of course, Dallas Cowboys lose to the Miami Dolphins in a thriller, very close one, man. I believe it was 22-20. If I'm not, yeah, they hit the last field goal at the end there. Of course, while I'm happy that happened, this is not a video to clown them. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are not in position, to clown anyone. So that's not the way I'm going with this here particular video. But what it does is it lays it all out for us. It puts us in position to go ahead and take the division, right? There's literally no excuse to lose this division at this point. You have two subpar teams that are not going to be in the playoffs. A Giants team that you've beaten, I don't know, I would like to say 9 out of the last 10 times, 12 out of the last 13, something ridiculous like that. And you got a Cardinals team that you shouldn't be losing to no way, So expect to go out there, handle business, win these 3 games, and use these games as an opportunity to get everything back on track, But as far as this game here, the only thing I would say, to Dallas people, man, who've been putting Dak Prescott in the MVP race, and all of that. And I'm not saying like he wasn't playing well enough to deserve some of that, but it's just the same thing I've been saying pretty much all year. When you play those upper echelon teams, that isn't when you get those 400-yard games and stuff like that. Unless, unless there's an aberration typically. When you play better competition, better teams, man, teams that have pride, that have talent, that can match up with you, it's rare that you're going to go out there and just destroy them unless there's like some reason. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, we were actually destroyed a few times by Dallas and by San Francisco, but I tell you, I believe there's reasons for it. It's not a matter of them just being so much more talented or so much more smarter. It's not that simple. I really, really believe to the bottom of my heart that having the toughest stretch of games that anyone had in the league, we're talking about his playoff team, at the playoff contender, at the playoff contender, at the playoff contender, took its toll. And then to face two of your toughest teams in the NFC, on short rest weeks or on weeks where both of those teams had 10 days rest. I mean, I'm not justifying our performance. We should have played better, without a doubt, and I expect us to play better, without a doubt. But I mean, those are the reasons for the blowout. You just has to be. Now, I saw a couple. I've been doing some research. I actually saw a video put out by I forgot the guy's name, but he was actually breaking down the Eagles' offense, and he was identifying issues that he thought was the reason for our offense not performing well. And I found this video very interesting in him, and like I really couldn't argue with his points. The 2 points that I definitely agree with. Number one is the lack of a running game, and a big part of the problem with the Eagles' running game is the fact that we're constantly taking the ball from the shotgun and handing it to the running back, which makes the running game so much more difficult to get off. And we are like one of the teams that are in the bottom 5th of the league, like. We rank like 25th or 26th in terms of taking the ball from under center. The only time Jalen Hurts is taking the ball under center is if we're doing, a 4th and 1, brotherly shove, tush push or whatever, quarterback sneaks. That's the only time we're taking the ball under center. And the offense just doesn't have enough of our variety. And the other point that he made was that we're like the bottom 3rd of the league in utilization of motion. And that makes you really wonder, why are the Eagles not using motion when you have all of these weapons? Could you imagine if we were running an offense like Miami runs or like the San Francisco 49ers runs with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Smith, A.J. Brown, and DeAndre Swift and Dallas Goedert? Could you imagine if we were really running motion You know, an offense that's similar to what Kyle Shanahan and what these guys are running. You know, it would be a totally different situation. We run a very simplistic offense that defenses are figuring out. I actually heard before that some people, I didn't watch it, but some people told me that Christian McCaffrey was watching our game and was calling out our plays. You know, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable, man, that you have coaches up here just not doing their due diligence to put together the most effective type of offense. You know, what they're doing is they're relying on the amount of talent that Howie Roseman is getting them, and just leaning on that. If you really think about it, you know, if A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith aren't doing amazing things to get themselves open all the time, where our offense is stagnated because they sure aren't getting help from the scheme. You know, they're not being schemed open or anything like that. Once in a while, you'll see a little pick play here and there. And half the time, we might not even like execute that right. We're like one of the worst teams I've ever seen when it comes to executing screen passes, and then we doing screen passes to wide receivers as opposed to screen passes to the running backs. Like certain things like that are just goofy to me, and I don't understand. You know, the thinking of the offensive coordinator. You know, whether it's Brian Johnson or whether it's Nick Sirianni, who lately is just taking the blame for everything. He's even taking the blame for defense, you know, which is odd to me. I think Nick Sirianni should not have anything to do with the defense whatsoever. He should be so far away from the defense that it isn't funny. And I don't know how true that is, because if that's the case, then what? You know, why would you have a guy, former wide receivers coach, have anything to do with the defense? He wants this type of scheme. He wants them playing what? Who cares what he wants, right? Like, he's not Bill Belichick. He's not a guy that was a defensive coach. And if he likes Gannon's defense, then there's something wrong with him. Why would he like Gannon's defense as opposed to the myriad of defenses out here in the league? Why don't you want a defense that's similar to what the Jets are running, or defense is similar to what the Browns are running, or defense that's similar to what the 49ers are running? Why would you want to have a Nick Fangio style of defense? And even though they played okay against Dallas tonight, that defense is not a dominant defense, man. It's not. It gives up too many yards. It allowed, even, I thought Miami was going to lose because what Dallas does is Dallas, you know, they do a lot of sneaky stuff with CeeDee Lamb. They don't have CeeDee Lamb on the outside dealing with Jalen Ramsey, dealing with Xavier Howard. They got this guy, man, just hiding in the slot. You know, going up against linebackers and going up against slot cornerbacks that are like third string, fourth string guys. Like, and then you see Nick Fangio not adjusting. You know, I mean, I guess he did something because CeeDee Lamb wasn't as productive in the second half as he was in the first. But, like, I don't even understand why you allow yourself to be put in that situation. Why isn't your thinking more along the lines of, okay, when I go into the game against Dallas, I'm going to put my best guy on their best guy. Why isn't that an automatic thing? You know, I grew up in an era, man, where I remember the 1995 San Francisco 49ers against the Dallas Cowboys in NFC Championship game. And I recall it, man. On one side, you had Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper. And then on the other side, the 49ers had Deion Sanders and Eric Williams, right? And what they did was they put Eric, what's his name? I forget, I believe his name is Eric Williams, right? He was the other cornerback, okay? What they did was Michael Irvin was the marquee guy. So what they started off with was, in order to fool them, Ray Rhodes, who's the defensive coordinator, he put Deion Sanders on Alvin Harper, and he put Eric Williams on Michael Irvin, which threw them off. So automatically, you know, Trey Aikman is looking, he checks to go outside to stay away from Alvin Harper there, and he tries to catch Eric Williams off guard. He picked it off for a touchdown. I mean, it was ingenious. You know, these are the types of games, man, that they played, you know, with corners back then that, you know, I just don't see now. I don't get it. I really don't. I've heard some of the reasons is that teams are more concerned about officials calling flags and all that type of stuff. So that's why they play less man. But see, my thing is you don't know what the officials are going to call. There's games, man, where officials are calling everything, throwing flags for breathing on a wide receiver. Then there's games where cornerbacks are just grabbing guys and putting them in headlocks and throwing them down and suplexing them and Brock Lesnar F5s and all types of stuff, and they're getting away with it. So, like I'm saying, you're better off just being aggressive regardless, because sometimes the officials will call it, sometimes they won't. You can't fix your game plan around what officials are going to do. That's just I don't want to say just silly thinking to me, man. But again, man, Dallas Cowboys, they lose. I did predict that they would lose this game. But that has no bearing on us. We got to handle our own business, man. So tomorrow night or afternoon, I'm expecting us to go in there and handle this business. And the 49ers also will lose their game to Baltimore. So this will put us in position. I don't know if there's a way we can get that, the conference, unless they lose to the Rams, which isn't totally inconceivable. But we'll see what happens, man. You know what I mean? So, till next time, man. Peace out.